Hi, I'm Rick Jacobus, and this is an introduction to the Inclusionary Housing Calculator. The issue of economic feasibility always comes up whenever we discuss inclusionary housing policies. The success of these programs in producing new affordable homes depends on the requirements being appropriate for the local economic conditions. But this can be a highly technical question that's difficult for most stakeholders outside the real estate industry to figure out, and developers generally have a monopoly on this critical information. We built this inclusionary housing calculator tool in order to help people who are not real estate developers to better understand the actual financial trade-offs involved in inclusionary housing. While the tool should not be used to definitively answer the economic questions related to inclusionary housing development, it can help clarify and simplify the financial picture in order to achieve the most effective and efficient program. The first step in using the tool is to select a template. You see over here on the right-hand side, there's a number of different templates to choose from, and they represent rental or ownership projects, high-rise, mid-rise, or low-rise projects, and they're organized into different market types. So we have strong markets and mixed markets and soft markets. And when you select a template, it changes the inputs to correspond to typical values for that kind of project in that kind of place. The tool is built around a complex and detailed project pro forma. It's the kind of spreadsheet that developers use to evaluate potential projects. What we did is we built a more user-friendly interface to allow you to make adjustments to the key assumptions and quickly see the result. So here we're looking at a high-rise rental project in a strong market. You can see that the project costs almost $83 million to build. And once it's placed in service, it's going to have a value that we're estimating at $97.5 million. And the difference between those is the $14.7 million in profit that the developer is likely to earn. At that level, the profit represents 17.8% of the cost. So we can change the assumptions, and we can see immediately what that does to the profitability of the project. So for example, if we increase the construction costs, the project becomes less profitable. And at a certain point, it would become so unprofitable that it would be infeasible for a developer to build this project. We assume that projects that earn more than 10% profit will be feasible, that some developer will want to build them. Though you can change that assumption also right here. This overview screen includes the inputs that have the greatest impact on feasibility as well as the high-level outputs. The tool lets you adjust a number of other things though. Here under the Adjust section, there are inputs related to the development assumptions for building the project, related to financing, related to the affordability of affordable units that are included, and incentives that might offset the cost of providing affordable units. There's also a section down here called Explore that lets you look more at a spreadsheet type output so you can see the results of the inputs that you've specified. Obviously, a lot depends on how you set these values, and it may not be obvious where you would get the right number for each of these inputs. So there's a Help section, and if you click on any one of the inputs in the tool, you'll get a quick definition of what we're looking for here. And then if you click on User's Manual, we have an online manual that allows you to read more about each of the inputs. And where possible, it provides you with a sense of what's typical, what the range is across different places, and where you might find either nationally published or local data that would be make it easier for you to fill in the appropriate assumptions in the tool. The purpose of the tool is to help you understand what happens when there are affordable housing requirements, and how that impacts development feasibility. So when you take a project like this that starts with no affordable requirements and is profitable, then we can look at what happens when there's an affordable housing requirement. For example, if we require that 10% of the units in this project be affordable, the profitability of the project drops from 17% to 9.6%. Now, we've just crossed over the threshold that we defined for feasibility. So the other thing that the tool lets us do is look at what's the value of different incentives that we might offer. The most commonly offered is the density bonus. And so here, for example, I can slide the density bonus over and say, let's assume there was a 10% density bonus. Developers could build 10% more floor area than they otherwise would have been allowed to build. So that restores the profitability in the project back up to 13.1%. And the tool is designed to allow this kind of side-by-side comparison. So you can see the requirement to provide affordable units, it costs about $7.2 million. And the incentive in the form of density bonus here costs about, or adds about $3.3 million in value to the project. The tool is also going to let us look at what happens if we set the affordability at different levels. So for example, here we're looking at units that are affordable to 60% of AMI, but we could instead choose 80% AMI units. And you notice that means the cost to the developer is less. It's less of a discount. And so the profitability of the project is higher. Obviously, if we go the other direction, the opposite happens. The results that you get from this tool are only going to be as good or as accurate as the inputs that you provide. The underlying mathematical formulas are correct and the general approach is sound, but each local market has different inputs and professional consultants get paid to get those numbers right. This tool is not meant to be a substitute for hiring an experienced professional. Even with imperfect inputs, though, we think the tool is useful to help people understand the basic economic issues and the trade-offs involved in inclusionary housing. But please don't assume that the bottom line results in the tool are precise or definitive. We hope that you find the tool useful and that you'll let us know what works and how it could be improved. You can post any questions in the discussion forum on the webpage below the calculator and we'll respond. Thank you.